Dale, for the second straight week, Chase Elliott has piloted that number 9 Napa Auto Parts Chevrolet JR Motorsports to victory lane, and certainly doesn't cease to amaze us, the talent that this young man has. And just what are your thoughts about him winning back-to-back races, racing for the first time at Darlington, and you know how tough this place is. What's your thoughts about that, Dale?
He'd done a great job tonight, obviously, and he's real impressionable. Didn't come in here with any assumptions, and he's got a great team with some good cars. Those guys are putting together a lot of good information last year with Regan, and learned a lot, and they're ready to succeed. And so he's stepping into a situation each weekend that's really tailored well and very well put together. So he come in here unassuming and just drove the car and did took what the car would give him. And he has amazing car control. We saw that on several occasions out there tonight. He has drove on some pretty slick racetracks in those super late models and spent a lot of time on surfaces very similar to this, so he's very comfortable on a track like Darlington. And he just everything that he's doing makes sense, but yeah, it's pretty amazing. And he's got a great level head and good character, and nothing really rattles him. So when it came down to the end there and it was time to really get after it, he had his composure and did what he needed to do and was able to make it work. So that's going to be tough to contend with for many years. So I like to think that we're going to hang on to him for a little bit and try to get him ready for the next level, but he's looking like he's ahead of schedule.
That's pretty good. We'll take questions now. We'll start over here with Mike. We'll go to Dustin, David, and Matt.
Mike Embry, USA Today. Dale, you mentioned his composure. There was he had several chances over those last few laps to just panic or whatever and lose the win. Is that something that you can learn at the levels of racing he's been in already, or is that just something he's kind of picked up from his dad?
Yeah, I was talking about it last week. I think a lot of that comes from his daddy. They have this very similar disposition, very similar mental makeup, and I think a lot of that comes from his father and just how things were handled around the household and how he was raised. But at the same time, he won some pretty big late model races, and I think that he had to keep his composure to get that job done against some of the competition he was racing against. So he learned it on the track too, but. Yeah, I mean, there's a mentality that a driver has that he carries with him no matter what. And, there's some guys that everybody handles themselves differently in the race car. And the way he handles himself reminds me a lot of his dad, and I think that just comes from just growing up around his father. He must have really spent a lot of time with his dad and just picked up on a lot of things his dad did and how his dad would handle certain things and make decisions. And he really must have been paying attention because he's like a carbon copy as far as the mental makeup of Bill, it seems. I don't even know Bill that well, but just watching them together, you can, the only way you can tell them apart is the way, how they look. They both act identical to each other. But even winning this race, I mean, he's excited, but and he can't believe it. But he's not loud, obnoxious. It's refreshing to see how he handles it.
Let's go over here to Dustin, then we'll go to David, and then to Matt.
Dustin Long, MRN.com. Dale, certainly we've seen what Chase can do. We're seeing what Kyle Larson can do, Ryan Blaney, the Dillons, Darrell Wallace Jr. Can you give a sense of perspective of this young group, this young town? Are they doing things similar to what you and Matt and Jimmy and Ryan did when you guys came up in that era, or are they doing some different things than what you guys did when you guys kind of started changing the game a bit?
Yeah, I think we did it like that. I think that we were when we come in Nationwide Series in '98, '99, we had people pretty excited, and people were very impressed with Matt and what he was able to do in a relatively low buck team. And there's been many cases of that. I think I see Kyle do a lot of cool things on the track with car control. And I see these other guys showing some signs of potential, and it's really good to see. The thing I like about Chase, obviously, not that he's successful in winning, but his personality, man, I like to call him the new Elvis. He's the full package, man. I mean, he just has it all, and the sky's the limit with that kid, really. To me, for some reason, and maybe I'm a bit biased, but he's above the rest and in his class, and so I'm excited for his future, and once he can he ain't even focusing on racing 100%. He's still in school, so wait till he gets graduated. This is gonna be real trouble for them other boys.
Yeah, he's going to be in shop class Monday, isn't he?
Yeah. He's still got 4 weeks left. Wait till that's over with. He really gets to concentrating on this racing.
Yeah. All right, David.
Dale, the way Chase busted up through traffic there at the very end, it looked like he found a little hole and just kind of squirted through it. I mean, what are you thinking watching him do that on that unfolds the last 2 laps?
Yeah, really, I see a guy who it's surprising to see that he makes those moves and his instincts are correct. There's some guys that get indecisive because they've never been there, and they don't know whether the car can do it, and they don't know whether they need to do it, or you can see guys sort of get indecisive in those situations. But he just seems to be able to pull the trigger and drive it in there. He's got a lot of confidence in his car to be able to do those things. And so I get awed by Chase as a driver and excited about that potential or that quick, this early in his career, this early in his nationwide career, for him to be able to do that on these bigger tracks. These tracks aren't intimidating him. The cars and the competition isn't intimidating him. But also at the same time, I get proud of my cars. I get proud of my company and proud of the stuff we're developing and proud of how far we've came as a company too. So it's our car out there doing those things with Chase driving it. So our guys are pumped and proud, and the morale in the shop's really high. We got excited last year with what we were able to do with Regan and knew that this year could be a good year for us. Yep.
Go ahead. We'll go to Matt. Right here, Matt. We'll take 3 more. Matt, Chris, Mike, and then we'll end with Lee.
Matt Weaver, Popular Speed. You had 2 really good full years in Nationwide before you moved up. So looking at Chase and how he's kind of on that similar career path, what sort of things do you tell him to try to, temper his expectations a little bit, and that, yeah, you're having all this success now, but depending on what you guys decide to do and what Rick decides to do, and telling him you're not quite ready, you need to work on this or that or whatever?
We're not having those kind of conversations at the moment. He's pretty busy with his school, so I don't see him during the week at all. I only see him at the racetrack, and I really don't want to bother him talking to him and trying to fill him with information during race weekend because he's trying to process what's happening with the car and practice and all that. So if we have those kind of conversations, it'll be away from the track and during the week and maybe on down the road. We're pretty early in this deal. I think that he doesn't need to be in a big rush. If he's stuck around for 2 years, that'd be plenty to learn what he needs to learn and really get polished in the process to be able to move up. And it's probably premature to even be talking about that, but he's obviously good and has that real potential to get to the next level for sure. So I think he can be patient. He's very young and has a whole life in front of him. If I was him, and we'll talk about that down the road, I think that you would want to get 2 full years in this series and then move up. But those decisions really come down to the dollars and who's putting the dollars in on the table. Those are that influences it more than anything else, and I'm not that guy. So, but Bill's really understanding of the situation. I'm sure Bill will have an influence on what happens with Chase and how far along he goes and how quickly he does that. But like I said, we're not really I'm not really trying to tutor him. We haven't had time to be together. I just was talking to Bill in Victory Lane. I said, how many more weeks of school? He said 4. I said, what's he going to do after that? Are we going to see him in the shop every week? He says, yeah, I'm sending him to Charlotte. He's all yours. So it'll be fun.
Let's go to Chris. We'll go to Mike and then end with Lee.
Dale Kirsten from KansasJets.com. I was wondering if you could talk about Greg Ives. I mean, you saw obviously something with what he did with Regan last year, and then you put him with Chase this year, and it's just been awesome to see those two get together. Just wondering if you could get your thoughts on Greg. He's obviously a great leader for junior motorsports, and obviously it's been a great weekend for the company as a whole the last 2 weeks with 4 top 10s last weekend and then another good weekend here.
Yeah, Greg's situation for us and for me is very similar to Chase's. He's been put in this situation to succeed and to move on. And so it just so happens that we caught 2 comets at the same time, and they're paired together and they're working really well together, and if all goes well, they should likely stick together for quite some time. But that was sort of the intent when we brought Greg down, and so it's working out really well. And Greg has all the potential. He's such a brilliant mind, and obviously he's given Chase some great race cars. Must be some good communication there. Greg is very even keel, very calm, doesn't get excited. So I would expect them to continue to improve, and Greg's still learning on the fly as far as the particulars of the job, mechanics of the job, getting his crew right, moving pieces around in his crew over the wall gang to get that right, and improving his pit stops and even that dialogue with those guys and that working relationship with those guys. He's still sort of learning and understanding how that works, and succeeding and failing and succeeding every day at the desk and on the plate and in the shop. So he's still going through this, still learning a lot as a crew chief, but he's got great potential.
Maybe take one more for Dale, and then we'll hear from our race winner. Go ahead.
Mike Neff from FrontStretch.com. Dale, since Brad left, or when Brad left, you guys kind of tailed off a little bit in comparison to some of the other top teams in the Nationwide Series. But right now, it sure seems like your organization is the one to beat. Is it just a perfect storm that everything's kind of come together at the right time between driver and cars and crew, or is it just the drivers that good?
Well, the talent that we have in the shop as far as our drivers and our crew chiefs is very good right now. We got a lot of good combinations, and we've got things lined up a lot better. In the years where we were struggling, the pieces of the puzzle weren't quite fitting together exactly the way we needed them to. But the biggest thing that has helped us is we sort of lost the line of communication from HMS to JRM when it comes to engineering help and a flow of information and engineering help coming back and forth. We want to be an asset to HMS just as much as we need the help from them. We want to be able to turn that information around and give it back to them and have them find it useful. So that's starting to work, and especially when we're running well. Our cup teams are coming down and saying, what are you guys doing here and there, air pressure, things like that will correlate to the cup car. So that we really sort of strengthened the bond between the two companies to where they work together and help each other, and it does a world of difference for us to have that kind of resource. But obviously, Chase coming along, Regan coming in, and winning races last year. And Harvick, I mean, he's awesome. Having him around, he's on teams. He knows what buttons to push and how to make things better. He's a huge influence on our production. So our crew chiefs are geared up and working together really hard and improving things left and right. And we got to do it all on a budget. So it's not an easy job for them to work in that box. So everything's working really well right now. The personnel is great, but the line of communication HMS has strengthened the whole company.
Dale, congratulations. We'll let you go.
Yes, sir.
And congratulations to how JR Motorsports is performing. And good luck tomorrow night, Dale. Okay, let's hear from our race winner for the second straight week in the NASCAR Nationwide Series. 18-year-old Chase Elliott drives to victory lane. Become the youngest driver to win a nationwide race here at Darlington. You also become the youngest driver to ever win 2 nationwide races, period. And congratulations, Chase. You're the driver of the number 9 Napa Auto Parts Chevrolet for JR Motorsports. He's joined by his crew chief, Greg Ives. And just talk about how in the world you won this race tonight.
That's a really, really good question. I honestly have no idea. I would have to go back and watch it. All I know is our outside lane went really well, and having the 2 guys, on 2 tires was, somewhat of a good thing, for us, and kind of bottled up the bottom lane, so we were able to get a good run. And Kyle tried to make it 3 wide getting into 1, and I thought if he had made that work, he would have been tough to pass, but fortunately, the outside lane went, and we were able to get to second coming to the white, and was going to try to get up under Elliott up off of 2, and he got a little bit loose, and I got pretty close to him and was able to get to his outside, which is kind of where I wanted to be anyway, and was able to get through 3 and 4 well and bring it back around.
Well, congratulations. A lot of fun to watch you race.
I appreciate it.
Greg Ives, talk about this win here, second straight. Got to be a big thrill for you, too, as a young crew chief.
Yeah, I mean, we really can't look at each win as a consecutive or not. We just try to do our best each week, and if it comes out of there with a win, then that's great. And it was interesting week to start out. We didn't unload as well as we should have, and we were just able to work on the car and trust our notes that we had from previous years, and just trust the tools that, like Dale said, is provided through Hendrick Motorsports, and are able to give Chase a good race car tonight. And I've had a few hiccups. We always obviously need to address a couple hiccups that we had, but we were able to make it happen, make it work. And it's that I haven't been that excited about a race win in a while, and it's just the way that he was able to go about it, and overcome that adversity, and keep calm, and know that he had to get the best finish that he possibly could. And if that was a win, that was a win. If it was third, it was third. But that's what it's going to take to keep improving here and bringing good race cars home. That way we can keep building on it. So really excited about this one. I'm just fortunate situation that I have, and it's a good deal right now.
Okay, we'll take questions now for Chase or Greg. If you have one, raise your hand. We'll start right here with Matt and then go to David and Reed. Raise your hand there, Matt. Off to the side there, Bert.
Sorry. I was just talking to Dale Jr. about your possible, Cup ascension, and I'm curious, what do you see your personal timetable being as far as when you get to the Cup Series, and what sort of things do you want to work on before you get there?
Well, that's a good question. It's one I'm not worried about at all right now. Really haven't thought about it a bit, to be honest with you. So this is I feel like it's way too early on to be worried about that. The biggest thing we can focus on is I have a great opportunity right now at Junior Motorsports with Napa Auto Parts, and want to try to make the very most of that, do the best job I can do behind the wheel for these guys, and if we can do that and do it well, I think the future will figure itself out.
Then to Reed. David and then Reed.
David Caravella, NASCAR.com. Chase, you talked about getting in position there, heading to the white flag, but it looked like you found a little bit of an opening there. I guess it might have been between Harvick and Kenseth, and you just went. Can you talk about just the lack of hesitancy there, and just seeing the little gap and just taking it and running with it?
Yeah, well, I get you talking about on the back straightaway, and there was a little bit of a gap. I think Matt was on the bottom, and we had a pretty good run, and I was pretty committed, and if he was going to slide up in front, he had about .0001 seconds to do it, or the hole was no longer going to be there. So I was pretty well committed at that point to try to roll the top. That was really the only option I had to try to win the race. And, like I said, with Elliott off 2, he got a little free and opened up the outside for me, and that's where I wanted to be. I didn't really want to be on the bottom rolling into 3 because I knew the outside would have been pretty tough. So just kind of fortunate the way it all worked out. I don't know. That's a good question. It was just one of those situations where it comes down to the last 2 laps of the race, and you have a choice to make whether you want to win the race or give somebody a break. I don't think anybody's going to give somebody a break, as far as letting somebody in line, at the end of a race like that. So I feel like I made the same decision anybody else would have in that situation.
Let's go over here to Reed.
Reed Spencer with NASCAR Wire Service. Chase, when you were battling with Kyle Larson with about 40 to go, it looked like you were both driving as hard as you could. You were both over the edge.
Understatement.
How did you keep those cars apart? And have you had any thoughts about, this may be the future, and I may be doing this with this same guy for a number of years to come?
Well, I think I'd like to think so. Kyle's obviously a talented guy, and he's earned his place in this sport. For sure. So, like you said, there was a couple instances there, and definitely one that I can think of. I thought our night was 100% finished. I thought both of us were getting ready to pile it up pretty big, along with probably some more cars behind us. So, it was no idea how both of us held on to that, and he did a really good job holding on to it, and it kind of gave me something to lean up against while I was trying to save it. So that was just a crazy lap or so there. And like you said, we raced really hard, and he's fun to race with. And fortunately, we were able to race each other pretty clean, and we were able to keep her both straight.
Other questions for Chase? Right over here, Mike.
Mike Hembry, USA Today. Greg, watching you on the TV monitor as the race ended, it looked like you were just astonished at what happened at the finish. Did you think you had a decent shot at winning it starting from 6 with knowing what had to happen?
Well, this sport's full of highs and lows. We just came out, had a high all race of having a good race car and being in good track position. Had a little hiccup on pit road and put us back in the low, So going back to 6, I felt like we had an opportunity to win with 4 tires and being on the outside. So it's these races are so tough to win as is. Not putting your best foot forward is the tough thing. So I had confidence that he was going to be able to go on the short run just because our car was that good on the short run, and we just had to have the right opportunity, the right lane open, and Chase had to make the instinct call to put the car in the right position. So like I said, it's been I was pretty excited about that one, and not so much shocked, but just excited. I think he has the talent and the capabilities to do it, and hopefully we can do it again.
Let's go to right here to Pete. We'll go to Jim. We'll go to Lee, and then we'll go press box.
Pete Yakbelly with the Associated Press. Chase, you're sitting here matter-of-factly answering questions. You won 2 NASCAR races in your first season here. Is this what you thought was going to happen when you hit the track, this winter?
Well, honestly, no. I don't know that we ever, expected to be able to, come and win races at least this fast. And, I feel like, at least for me, I knew that our team was capable of doing it. Greg and the guys that he's assembled have won races in the past. They know how to get the job done, and it's kind of just up to me to do my job right, on and off the racetrack, give them the information they need to make these cars go fast, and, to have a pretty good program on the 1.5 mile deal right off the bat was good because I'd never been to those places. So bringing fast race cars allowed me to adjust to these racetracks more throughout practice and have to worry about the car. So they really deserve all the credit in that aspect. And, I think the fact that they're bringing fast race cars is more than anything, right now. We just got to make sure we keep trying to improve and grow and get better as a race team.
Let's go right here to Jim. We'll go to Lee, and then press box.
Jim Mutter, Charlotte Observer. 2 questions. The first one, Dale Jr. was kind of joking earlier saying Chase still has 4 weeks of school yet. You guys haven't even seen him fully concentrating on racing. Just wait until he's graduated. It's funny, but in a way, how has it been to manage all of that at the same time?
Well, I think, at least for me and the age I'm at right now, I think it's important to, finish up school and not just blow those last few weeks of high school off. Those are times you're not going to get back. So just trying to enjoy that, but at the same time, I get to do what I love to do on the weekends, and I couldn't be any happier about what I get to do when I leave school, because this is what I've always wanted to do and what I love to do and be a part of. So, I still have a few weeks of school left, and still gotta finish up there too. So can't forget about that. And but at the same time, still focus and try to bring my best effort to the racetrack each weekend and try to balance both of them to the best of my ability.
And he also dubbed you the new Elvis. Your thoughts?
The new Elvis? I don't know about that. I guess I need to shave. I don't know. Shave or let it grow out some more. I'm not sure. We'll have to see.
Go over to Lee, and then we'll go to press box.
To kind of follow up on what Utter was saying about, just your high school days, because racing's really all you've ever known, but are you even cognizant of your senior prom, your graduation, the graduation parties that follow that? Is that even on your radar screen, considering that, you're already doing what you've wanted to do your entire life?
Yeah, for sure. No, I definitely can't forget about that. It was a long discussed topic leading up to graduation this year, whether or not I wanted to go. And initially, I really didn't want to go. I didn't really care anything about it. I just wanted to go race, and the more I thought about it, the more you don't get to do that twice. So I figured it'd probably be a good idea to go and make Mom happy. I know she's going to be excited about that one. So get to go home and hopefully do graduation. That's the Saturday of the Iowa weekend. So fortunately, we have a test the day before. So given that the weather is good on Friday, we get that test in, and it's good enough to get home and get back. I'm going to try to go home Saturday morning, do graduation, and then come back on Saturday night and qualify for the race on Sunday. I think it's either tonight or tomorrow night, one of the two. So I'm not going to that one. So, but I went last year. The most important thing is graduation to me. That's right. I had a good date tonight. Lady in Black. Can't forget about that. It's the best date you can ask for.
He just wrote everybody's lead. All right, let's go to the press box. Go ahead.
That was all Greg.
Tony Bullock with the Courier Tribune. Chase, could you just talk about throughout tonight your mental makeup and the mental challenges you had, because you had a couple of Cup veterans talk about how you pretty much had the car to beat tonight, and yet you get down to crunch time and you find yourself in pretty much just about the worst situation you'd been in all night long, and you had to drive up through there to get the win.
Yeah, I don't necessarily know that it was the worst place, and the worst place would have been fifth, honestly, because the inside is really not the preferred lane anyway, and especially since both of the guys on the front row had only two new right side tires. So it kind of worked out that we ended up being sixth. I guess that was just kind of the way it was meant to be there. We had a little hiccup on the pit stop, but coming out sixth ended up being a good thing for us. So just trying to make the most of our race car there at the end. And the biggest thing was try to stay out of trouble tonight. And this place can reach out and bite you. It just about did me a couple times. I can think of one really good one getting into turn one with the 42, and just tried to do our best to stay out of the fence as much as possible. I got into it just a couple times down there in 3 and 4, and hopefully, it didn't kill our car too bad. So just tried to avoid that tonight, and just tried to make the most of what we had.
Any other questions in the press box? No more? I think I saw one more hand down here. Finish up here with Mike, and then we'll call it a day.
Mike Neff from frontstretch.com. One for each of you. Chase, I read after the Texas win that there's only a handful of kids in your class that really knew what you did on the weekends. Do you think there's going to be a few more of them paying attention after tonight?
I hope so. Like I said, I just my really close friends watch each weekend, and it's been really funny. I've almost turned them into race fans, so I think it's been kind of cool to watch them come to the races and be a part of some of the races so far this season's been really neat, and I think they plan on coming to some more. So it's really cool to kind of see that, because really before I explain anything to them, they don't really have any interest for it. But now that they kind of understand it and kind of follow it a little bit, they seem to like it. And I think that would be the case for a lot of people if they just give it a chance. So cool to see that, and looking forward to obviously seeing those guys this week.
And for Greg, the last couple stops, I think you guys lost 8 spots over the last couple stops. Is pit practice going to be a little more intense leading up to the next race?
Yeah, I don't have to get on anybody. This team knows what we need to be capable of. So, we're going to go back and, look over things and, try to correct the wrongs and try to make sure that, we keep everybody in a positive lookout that going forward. We definitely don't sweep any mistakes under the rug. So we know what it takes to win these races and what it's going to take to stay on top. So nobody out there, especially on my team, knows that mistakes are tolerated. But we'll go back and we'll correct them, and we'll come back next week at Richmond, and we're going to be better than what we were this week. So we can only grow from it. Like I told the guys, this the positives we have to grow from it, and the negatives we have to learn from it. So we're going to learn from the negative stuff tonight, and we're going to grow with the positives, and just go out there and by Richmond we're going to be a better race team. So that's our plan in the off week and going into the next race.
Final question, Chris. You have one? Final question.
Chris Knight, CatchFence.com. Chase, I was just wondering if you talked to Mr. Hendrick, and if you did, what'd he say?
I did. I got a phone call there about midway through the victory lane celebrations. He actually left the house before the end of the race, so he missed it. He missed the end of the race, which is a little disappointing, but that's okay. He said he left the house and he got on the road. I guess he had a commitment somewhere, and his phone started blowing up, and he realized what had happened. So I guess he got a hold of Mom. So that was cool to get that phone call. I hate that he missed the end of the race, but looking forward to having him back at the racetrack with us here again soon.
Chase and Greg, congratulations. Many, many more wins to come. Enjoy this one, and just keep it up.
Thank you. We appreciate it.
Thank you all.